Hello boys and girls, welcome to this presentation. My name is Mr. Mohamed Eljaroshi and I'm gonna be your English teacher. Let's start with Unit 1, Lesson 1. Let's open our course books on page 8. Let's read this before we start. Al Mustafa Intermediate School for Girls has its own monthly magazine. A team of 4 students and an English teacher produces it. Students from different classes write for it. They put their contributions in a box and the team chooses the best ones. Now let's start with some new words. What's the meaning of monthly? Very good. Monthly means every month. And what's the meaning of contributions? Very good. Contributions means to give something. For example, to give money or to give time. Very good. Now let's look at question A. This is a notice. Let's read the notice and then answer the questions below. Now, how many words do you see in the notice? Very good. Now, this one is the answer for question 1. Let's read the questions and answer them. Question 1. How many sections are there? Very good. 11 sections. Now, question 2. Write them in alphabetical order. You can stop the video and do it. Now let's check the answer. Number 1, cartoons. Number 2, interviews. Number 3, jokes. Number 4, letters. Number 5, poetry. Number 6, problem page. Number 7, puzzles. Number 8, school's news. Number 9, sports reports. Number 10, stories. And the last one, town events. Good job. Now let's move on to question 3. In question 3, how many sentences do you see? 7 sentences. Very good. Now, these sentences are called definitions. They are called definitions. Now, each definition has a word from the sections. Now, you can stop the video to do this question. You have to read the definitions and match them with the sections. Now, let's check. A. Funny stories with small pictures. Funny stories with small pictures. Very good. Cartoons. B. Short, funny stories. Short, funny stories. Very good. Jokes. C. Writing with words that rhyme. Writing with words that rhyme. End with the same sound. Very good. Poetry. Poetry. Let's check it out. Poetry. Now, what's the meaning of rhyme? Rhyme means to end with the same sound. For example, I have a car. I have a car. The car goes far. The car goes far. So I ended with car and far. They have the same sound. Let's move on. D. Asking people questions about themselves. Asking people questions about themselves. Very good. Interviews. Interviews. E. Things happening in the town. Things happening in the town. Very good. Town events. Town events. F. Descriptions of events. For example, football matches. Descriptions of events. For example, football matches. Very good. Sports reports. Sports reports. G. Reports about school events. Reports about school events. Very good. School news. School news. Now let's move on to question 4. Which section do you think you would read first? Which section do you think you would read first? And why? Now I want you to answer this question in a paper and bring it to your teacher. Talk about the section that you like the most and you would read first. And tell me why do you like it. Now, let's talk about this box. We're going to talk about possessive S. Possessive S. What's the meaning of possession? Very good. It means to own something, expressing ownership. For example, if I have a car, we will say this is the teacher's car. Or if I have a house, they will say this is the teacher's house. Very good. Now, with possessions and things that we own, we use possessive S. Possessive S. Let's take a look at these sentences. Go and get the boys' bags. Now, when you look at the word boys, you will see that the apostrophe is before the S. Let's take a look at the other sentence. Go and get the boys' bags. Now in this word, the apostrophe is after the S. And in the previous one, the apostrophe is before the S. Now what does that mean? When you find out that the apostrophe is before the S, it means that we're talking about one boy. One boy. And if the apostrophe is after the S, it means that we are talking about more than one boy. If you focus on it, you'll understand it. Let's take another example. The school's magazine is very interesting. The school's magazine is very interesting. The second sentence, the school's magazines are very interesting. The school's magazines are very interesting. Now when you take a look at the word schools, you will find out that the apostrophe in this one is before the S. And the apostrophe in this one is after the S. So in this one, we're talking about one school. One school. And in this one, we're talking about many schools, more than one school. At the same time, in this sentence, they said magazine, magazine, And in this one, they said magazines. Magazines. It means that this one is single, one magazine, and this one is plural. Very good. Now, let's go to exercise A on page 4 of the workbook. Question A, lesson 1. Now look at this box. How many words do you see? Very good. 7. Now look at the questions. How many gaps do you see? 5 gaps. Stop the video and fill the gaps with the words in the box. Now let's check. Number 1. Our teacher told us very good. A joke. Number 2. Nora has written very good. A letter. Number 3. Our football didn't play well in the match yesterday. Our football what? Very good. Football team. Number 4. We need to interview a person in our town. Can you suggest one? Or can you suggest someone? What do you think is the answer here? Very good. Well known. Good job. Now, question 5. I don't like writing stories, but I love writing. Very good. Poetry. Now, look at this question. Which sentences can you put these adjectives into? Now, how many adjectives do we see here? Very good. 2 adjectives. Number 1, interesting. Interesting. Number 2, funny. Funny. Now, we have 5 sentences. I want you to choose a sentence and put an adjective next to it. You can stop the video and do this question. Now let's check. Now for the word interesting, we can use this sentence number 2. So we write interesting near to it. Very good. And the other sentences, like number 1, I think it's funny. Yes. What do you think? Very good. Now let's write funny next to it. What about sentence number 2? Nora has written a letter to the school's magazine. It's interesting, yes. And sentence number 5, I don't like writing stories, but I love writing poetry. It sounds interesting. But sometimes we can say it's funny. So, when you talk about the adjectives interesting and funny, sometimes a sentence can be funny and interesting at the same time. So, in this question, you can answer any answer you want. Now, let's move on to the next question. Question B. In question B, we have to listen and then match these questions. In this question, Nadia and Mason are talking about what people will write for the school magazine. Who will write the different sections? Now here we have 6 names. Maysam, Sarah, Nadia, Rasha, Muna, and Sally. And on the side we have A, B, C, D, E, F. 6 sections. We have sport news, TV review, problem page, interview, school news, and story. Now, with the listening, I'll tell you which page you can listen to it, and you can read it at the same time. On your course book, page 101, you can find the transcripts for the listening in this page. Unit 1, Lesson 1, Listen and Match. You can read it at the same time and try to answer the questions. Now you can stop the video to answer this question, and then we will check together. Now, let's check. First, let's look at Maysa. Which section did she write? Very good. Problem page. So we come here and write the letter C. Good job. Now, which section did Sarah write? Very good. Interview. So the letter D. Which section did Nadia write? Very good. Story. We come here and write the letter F. Now, which section did Rasha write? Very good. TV review. So we write the letter B. Which section did Muna write? Very good. School news. So we write the letter E. And the last one is Sally. So which section did she write? Very good. Sports news. So the letter A. Very good. Thank you very much for watching. See you next time.